ticket, and drivers were getting warnings.
Yep.
That's all they were getting. And the attorney was sitting there waiting. If you give me a ticket, I can fight it. We couldn't get anybody to get a ticket. Everybody was just getting warnings.
I remember that.
Okay.
So we've tried doing it that way. You walk right in. All right. You get pulled over. Cop goes, I'm going to give you a warning for this, this, and this. Well, I don't agree. Why don't you give me a ticket? Try to get him to give you a ticket on anything.
Warning. And warning goes on your FMCSA, and then you go to data queue, and then data queue either removes it or doesn't remove it. And if it doesn't,
Right.
remove it, has anybody gone to a lawyer to see what the procedure is next?
No, not that I know of.
And that's because the problem is that we're just assuming there's no due process when we're not actually doing the due process. That
The due process is being punished. You're being punished for a crime you haven't been found guilty of, because people are getting fired for getting warnings.
You're not. The issue is the due process is a cop issues what they believe an interpretation of a law is. Any law. It could be trespassing. That cop arrests you and you go in front of a judge and you plead that case. So what I'm saying is
That's due process.
Okay, right. So you've got a warning and there is a process. The process is data queue. From data queue, it either gets removed or left on. If it's left on, nobody has taken it to a lawyer to see what that next step was. And then you're saying, well, there's no due process. There is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sage, the data queue, a lot of times when you do file it, and I know this by experience, it's reviewed by the same officer that gave you that warning.
Correct. So,
so a lot of times it doesn't get taken off because that officer is the same one that gave you that warning. It should not be that officer that reviews that data queue. It should be his supervisor or another entity within that department.
You're ignoring the
Well, is the FMCSA in charge of the data queue database? Who's in charge of that?
The point is anybody taking
No, we got your point. We got the point there.
Because we keep going over the same thing.
No, what I'm saying is Anthony brought up a good point, is that the same officer reviews the request to remove. So who's in charge of data queue? Maybe that could be changed to have a review board review the warning.
Department of Transportation is in charge of data queue. So it falls under Department of Transportation, FMCSA, create account.
So is it an FMCSA or is it the larger agency is the Department of Transportation, Sage?
Well, it's pulling it up under the FMCSA.
Data queue is part of the FMCSA. So there's something that is meaningful change for a lot of people in the industry, I would think.
Right. I agree with that. And no, I don't know, Sage, if anybody has ever done it. I don't know of anybody ever trying to fight it after they tried to data queue it. I've had 2 things on my warning that are on my CSA score in the last, I don't know how many years of trucking. And when I got them, I just laughed about it. Big deal.
So when you get this on your report and you appeal it and it doesn't go away, which judge convicted you of that warning for you to be punished for it?
Well, you know what? Sage's point is that you're not taking it one step further now.
I understand that, but let's say you do that. Let's say you do that, and it stays on. A warning stays on your thing. Which judge has convicted you of that violation or that punishment for you to be punished from that point forward? Because
my assumption would be you have to take it to court wherever you got the ticket in that jurisdiction.
How do you take it to court? It's a warning.
What
ticket are you fighting?
Taylor, who's giving you the punishment though?
Yeah,
companies, private sector.
But what law enforcement branch is putting you in jail or giving you a ticket or fining you? Like, what government agency is punishing you?
Insurance companies.
This is David. Can I give one example of something that happened to me? I think it fits very well with this. It was early in my career. I didn't know anything about data queue or anything, but I'm going to give you an example of something.
Yeah.
I was driving in Michigan, Michigan, they'll sit there and they'll have 2 and 3 lanes on the interstate, and they'll have signs on the outside of the highway that say right lane or right 2 lanes, trucks only, restricted lanes. Okay. Now we had 3 lanes. I was passing a guy. I was in the middle lane. He was in lane number 3. I was passing the guy, and someone else came on an on ramp. Okay, and I did not see that lane was going away, and so I'm stuck now in the middle lane, and there's Michigan Highway Patrol pull me over. I didn't get a ticket. I didn't even get a warning ticket. What did I get? I got a failed inspection for being in a restricted lane. I had no recourse for that, but it did what? It put points on my CSA for something that I should have been able to say, you know what? You've only got signs over here, and I couldn't see the sign. I didn't know the lane was even going away. I had no way to fight it. I had no way to fight that.
You could have taken that to a lawyer, and you could have gone after it with a lawyer in the court system saying, I got this, and I didn't do this. And you could have taken that same story to a lawyer and taken it further. You chose not to.
Okay, now the next thing is
Okay.
I have to go to a lawyer and pay him at least $250
Okay.
for anything. When anybody else on the street commits a crime, I can't afford an attorney. Oh, well, we'll get one for you.
No, they don't. You can't be speeding in a car doing 110 miles an hour, and they're just going to say you can't. We'll give you a lawyer.
Actually,
You can murder somebody though.
You do get a lawyer. That's civil though. That's civil though. Criminal is different.
Sorry, correct. Civilly.
So again, though, there are hurdles that are in the way that make it extremely difficult and time consuming that we have to take ourselves off the road to resolve.
Yeah.
And time off the road cuts right into our pockets.
Yeah, that's business. That's business. There are times you have to take yourself off your job a lot of times to do business. I mean, the arguments here, if we're going to be in an aspect of just being whiny truck drivers, I don't know what to tell you. Like the 2 things you just gave the panel were corrected, and it's still like, well, yeah, but I gotta get off the road and I gotta hire a lawyer. Yeah, you have to hire a lawyer. If you're running a trucking company and you don't have a lawyer on retainer, you might want to rethink that, because at any time you can be in a wreck and be charged, and it could be their fault. It's a part of doing business.
So one of my biggest gripes is the nitpicking. We actually got a message on our PeopleNet a while back for us to check our washer fluid. Apparently, we had a newer truck go through a scale, and I don't know if the driver got smart. I don't know any of the details about it. Just all I know is that he passed his inspection with an exception of having low washer fluid, and he got a $300 and some ticket. Now that's bullshit.
Sure. Did he fight it?
I don't know, but the fact that he got one is just ludicrous.
You're right. And there's bad cops and there's bad tickets and there's bad situations, but we have a process that you go through to get those lifted. If you were to a judge,
I'm not arguing the process, Sage. I'm not arguing the process. I'm arguing that that's even possible to happen.
But was that a state ticket or a federal ticket?
It was I don't know. It was an Illinois scale house. Is one of our local drivers up there in the day cab.
Because I've gotten out of service tickets, and usually, a long time ago, and usually those were state tickets and state violations and state fines. So I don't know how the FMCSA.
Yeah, but not having washer fluid in your truck is that's a regulation. You're supposed to have an extra gallon of washer fluid in your truck.
Who you dropping?
I need to speak. Josh.
Actually, Sage's.
You can drop me.
Sage's content is like 100%. It's always good to have somebody debate on that doesn't agree with you while we're talking, it actually gives more to a valid point.
Can I say something? Listen, guys, I'm a little bit on everybody's side, a little bit not on everybody's side. Common thing I think everybody's missing here is everybody wants their rights. Okay, I'm a veteran. I grew up in this country. Everyone wants their rights, but the only time you ever have anyone speak up about their rights is when it's directly affecting them at that moment. Now, as far as the trucks go, you're driving commercially on a road, okay? So somehow we can't nitpick at the small stuff. You have to look at the bigger stuff. We all know the FMCSA is a piece of garbage, okay? They're not interested in safety. They're only interested in lining their pockets. Just like every other organization in trucking, OIDA, NOOA, all the vetting companies, everybody. Now, as far as due process, this is life in America. Anything is due process in this country, but yes, it costs money. You need lawyers. You are running a business, like Sage says, you need a lawyer. But you know what I never hear anybody talk about, and everybody wants to talk about their rights and what they're entitled to in this country. One of the biggest problems in the industry is the fraud from outside criminal organizations. We have brokers and carriers dealing directly with Pakistanis with 40 known terrorist organizations out of that country. How can you call yourself an American and ask for your rights when nobody sits there and fights against what's going on that involves our national security? If I understand it, but listen, Josh, I'm talking about as far as the truckers all want to fight for something, but you need to fight for what's bigger for the whole country before you can be worrying about yourself in the truck. Screw the
I have a
tickets.
solution to that.
Screw
I
the
have a
tickets.
solution to that. I have a solution to that I've given thought to that on. As the head of the FMCSA, the first thing I would do is block or put a hold on any new entity at all. No trucking, no brokers. You have an office full of FMCSA, you have a bunch of scales with state police, you have FMCSA offices throughout the country. Any DOT, MC that is in any state, it is their job to verify that they are in this country physically. If you're not in this country and you have a DOT as a broker, like you're talking about, you're done. Your authority is done. If you're not an American owned company in this country, you shouldn't be in charge of freight moving in this country. I 100% agree with you on that.
I agree.
And that would be one of the first things I would try to figure out how to do. You can stop that.
Time out 1 second. On that note, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Freight Validate and Dale Prax. Dale's actually trying to push for not only just drivers have TWIC cards, but if the carriers or even a broker, whoever has an authority, has a TWIC card, then you're going to know who's the owner of that company. And yes, it will stop a lot of those guys from overseas because they're not going to be able to come over here and just get TWIC cards.
Yes, I know Dale Prax, and I've been talking with him on a lot of different things. He's already got a system in place, and the feds are trying to create the same damn system.
Hey,
Why?
Axel, but they subvert that in a lot of different areas by having guys with TWIC cards stand by to get non-TWIC cards in facilities.
But here's
They got escorts.
But here's the thing. Say you open up an authority with your TWIC card. Now you go and you try to open up another one. There's going to be a database. You're not going to be able to keep opening up all these MCs. Just like they're going to do away with the MC number, it's just going to be a DOT number. You should not be able to open up all these authorities. I have even today, I'll put out later. There's a guy, he's one guy. He owns 2 carrier authorities, expedite carrier authorities, out of, I believe, an apartment. And he also has a broker authority out of that apartment. Anybody knows it's in trucking, this is some bullshit going on. That needs to stop. So when they stop even giving the MC number, these guys aren't going to be able to start transferring and selling these MCs. That DOT number stays with your name, and it should go with your ID, whether it's a tweet card or your passport or whatever. People need to be held responsible, accountable. And I'm not saying it's going to be solved overnight, but you got to hit these guys back with missiles, not with Twinkies. You got to hit them with missiles.
So how is the FMCSA even overseeing this? Because that's not even a safety issue. That's more of a national security.
That's what I said a long time ago. FMCSA would not be in charge of brokerages. That needs to go to a separate entity, like FINRA oversees brokerage.
So how does it get there? You got to make noise. Everybody's got to make noise for the right things. Whether it's the FMCSA and it goes up to whoever, you got to make noise. But let's make noise about the big stuff. Because if you knock out all those guys doing all this crazy stuff, believe me, the freight industry would be a lot better and the rates would go up. Because even this bullshit about all this capacity, that's bullshit. These guys are using 5 to 10 motor carrier authorities, and they probably only have maybe one vehicle. They're creating all this imaginary capacity because they're all bidding. I have brokers coming to me and say, look, I got 3 MCs bidding 10 times for one load because they're using maybe their one vehicle, and then they're playing dispatcher for all these other guys. It's a mess like I ain't never seen. This industry has the most crime and fraud I've ever seen. This is the biggest. This is more. Listen, the way they steal these tractor trailers full of Skechers shoes, Bitcoin miners. This is a joke.
So, a couple of things. I'm a local driver, right? And I just came across y'all space. I was just scrolling through spaces, and I came across y'all space. I don't know any of you, but I was listening for a minute. You know, you were talking about safety and regulation and shit like that. So, I've experienced in my career where I've gotten paid by the load, I've gotten paid by the mile, I've gotten paid by the day, I've gotten paid by the package, and right now I get paid by the hour. And what I notice is drivers that get paid by the load or the mile, they tend to drive a lot faster, and it creates an environment where people will drive a little bit more reckless and a little bit, you know, less safe than somebody that gets paid by the hour. You know, so they, you know, you see these over the road guys and they get paid by the mile, right? So when they're at a shipper or receiver, you know, for the first hour or two or whatever it is for their company, you know, they're just sitting there not making anything. And then they get stuck in traffic and they're barely making anything. So when they get through the traffic, they're like, oh shit, I gotta go. So, you know, it just creates an environment to where people are driving a little crazier. So I think if the government, go ahead, dude.
Can I add something, Josh? Can I add something? So let me ask each and every one of you guys something. How do you perform doing any duty one way, and how do you perform doing that same duty being timed?
So
I can
you're
answer
gonna
some of
drive
that.
a whole lot faster, and you're gonna work a whole lot faster when you're incentivized by getting paid by the piece work, or whether it be mile or package or whatever. You know, you're gonna work a whole lot faster to get that done because you know that it is what it is.
So
You
so
know,
I've argued that same thing, Chris, except I didn't argue the way you were talking about how I got paid. I get paid percentage over the road plus hourly, but I'm also fighting a time clock. So there's times that when I'm running thin, I usually run 62, 65, but I notice you're right. When I'm running it thin, I'm 70 over, up over 70. So, and that's because I have a countdown clock telling me how much time I have left. And it's to the second. It's not a paper log like a 15-minute increment. So,
But your issue you're bringing up, FMCSA has no control over. I can't go and tell carrier A, B, or C, you got to pay all your drivers by the hour. That's not FMCSA's job.
no, but
That's-
FMCSA has the clock.
FMCSA has
clock.
the clock. So one of the first things you do is you start holding listening sessions to try to come up with another hours of service. It's been basically the same hours of service since 1935 when they were created by a frickin' Department of Labor. They've modified it a few times, but that's it. It's still the same thing. So who's in charge of it? Is it the Department of Labor or is it FMCSA? Because if it's the Department of Labor, why are you not paid for time and a half after 40 hours? If it's FMCSA, why are we held to a certain standard, certain hours by the second? Who's in charge of it first is the first place you got to go. And then you start holding listening sessions to get different drivers from different aspects of the industry what they want. And you start listening to the drivers. Go ahead.
I fought something on this. If you stay inside the state, it's the labor. If you're crossing state lines, it's got to go to the DOJ.
In the air mile radius. If you're intrastate, you fall under state regs for hours of service.
I'm
And
talking
there
about
again,
when you're
every
talking
state
about
is different.
pay. When you're talking about pay, it's going to go to the labor board. But as soon as you're taking loads across state lines, it's going to go to the Department of Justice.
Okay.
I fought something on this with another guy. And as soon as I put it into the labor board, they said you cross state lines with the load, you got to submit this to the Department of Justice.
Okay. But it's not FMCSA's job to dictate pay, is what I was getting at.
100% right.
Yeah, he's 100% on that because there's one time, a long time ago, when I had I didn't get paid for my work. I was going to take it to the labor board, and they said, well, that company's out of state. You have to go through a different process. You can't go to the labor board. So, but regardless, guys, the main conception here is we have a truck driver who's got 30 years of trucking, who has fought for us, not just for himself, as somebody mentioned earlier. He's fought for us when he didn't have to. He's rode in the convoy. He's fought for the vaccines. He's fought for everything. And I as a 25-year trucker, somebody's mic's on. As a 25-year trucker, I feel more confident as a 25-year-old trucking veteran over the road trucking. I feel more confident having a guy like Lee Schmitt up there that knows, lived the life, breathes the life, and could recite almost any page on that green book. He knows the regulations inside and out. I feel much confident having Lee up there fighting for us than I do like when I went to DC, I got to talk to the acting director, Wiley Deck, and he didn't even know. I mean, the stuff that he didn't know, and it's filmed on camera, it was embarrassing that this was the director of the FMCSA. And I just walked away shaking my head and say, what could go wrong? What could go wrong when you have even us, put us in an airplane, can fly it.
But a lot of it falls under because they put the FMCSA in charge of too many things. There's too many people telling them what they can and can't do. Their job is safety. They need to get back to that, and that's it.
But my point is, if there's a debate on whether or not we agree that Lee is qualified or not qualified, find somebody and let's talk to them. I'm all for Lee going up there. I'm going to promote the shit out of him. That's my right. But if there's somebody better, bring him on. Let's talk to him. But I feel like we started in this to let Lee have an opportunity to say what he would do different, and it's kind of turned into the small picture, not the big picture, and we're just arguing semantics on a lot of things and not the actual We're arguing symptoms, not problems. And with that, well, yeah, yeah. You know what? I stand corrected on that. I guess you're right on that. I'm just saying. I just felt like earlier I was listening, and I just felt like there was some debate on that topic. But anyway, Lee, I wish you the best of luck. I wish you the best of luck, Lee, and
Well,
you guys.
Taylor, you might have heard me just being devil's advocate, trying to vet out Lee. That was all I was trying to do. Not
Oh,
yeah,
fuck you, Fred.
not put him down. Thank you, sir. I love you too, my friend. But I was just trying to be a little bit of a devil's advocate here with, and yeah, Sage is always a devil's advocate. So there you go.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I do appreciate when Sage is in here. Just even he has a good point a lot of times. I don't agree with him 100%, but there has been times when Sage is like, no, you got to look at it like this, and I'm like, fuck, he's right. So I appreciate guys like Sage that disagree with me as a general rule to hear their point, because I want to believe the right point, not my point, but the right point. And if I believe my point and somebody comes along with the right point, I'm switching sides because I want to follow what's right, and that goes for any topic in life. I want to believe facts over opinions. So I appreciate guys like Fred and Sage bringing that to the table. But anyway, guys, we're in trouble. We are fucked. I mean, we get fined for the dumbest shit. We get warning tickets that go against our records for shit like I had one flip my fucking fire extinguisher because he couldn't find nothing wrong and wrote me a warning ticket for that. I mean, come on. I'm out here working my ass off to help this same man buy groceries, and that's how I get paid back. With bullshit quotas. I think and one last thing I'm going to close with is one other big thing I have an issue with is the education of the DOT officers. A lot of times they don't know. They're doing what they're told. In fact, to give you a good example, just on the private sector or the non-commercial, my wife got her driver's license renewed, and on the way home got a ticket or got pulled over for speeding, which she did not get a ticket. My wife gave the police officer her driver's license, which were paper. Now, this paper license was issued as a temporary because Tennessee stopped issuing licenses except at their terminals, except Nashville. So now you get a paper and they send it to you in the mail. That officer did not know that. Threatened to take my wife to jail for possessing that paper license, in which his own department issued to my wife as a temporary driver's license. Basically, it's a photocopy of her driver's license that they print on a special paper. That cop did not know that Tennessee was issuing paper licenses and damn near took her to jail, and until he made a phone call and he came back and apologized to my wife. Now, my point is, when you're issuing driver's license in one department and you work for the enforcement part of that same department, you should at least know what the other hand's doing before you're out here writing tickets. And I find that interpretation is the best example I can give. There shouldn't be interpretations. It should be black and white. Either it works or it don't. No gray area, because look at personal conveyance. Look how many times people's gotten tickets and beat them because the cop didn't know.
Taylor, to your point, interpretations are there for lawyers. That's what they're there for.
Sure, and I know that. But
it's
police officers,
it's a double-edged sword because lawyers can use the interpretations for good and bad. So
I had a discussion with a trooper friend of mine in Tennessee, and he agreed with me on the washer ticket, windshield washer ticket. He said I would have never wrote that ticket, and he said there's no violation. And I said, well, the guy got a ticket. He said that's bullshit. He shouldn't have got one. He stated to me that the washer motor has to be operable, and his interpretation was if you had a car that ran out of gas, okay, does the car run? And he said, yeah, it runs fine. There's nothing wrong with the car except it's out of gas. It runs, and it's operable if you put gas in it. And it doesn't say, the way he explained it, it wasn't in the book that it had to be operable with fluid. It doesn't say anything about it. It said it has to be operable. And he says it works as long as you got fluid in it. So the pump actually does function. The pump is not broken. And so, oh, go ahead. I'll shut up.
No, I just didn't want to be rude. I don't know you guys or anything like that. I was just, giving people time to talk or whatever. But so kind of switching gears here on this and bringing up a topic. Maybe y'all talked about it before I came in. I don't know, but so a lot of I'm an advocate for cannabis, marijuana, right? I don't know how y'all feel about it, but think that it ought to be treated the same way as alcohol. Don't be high while you're working. Don't bring it with you to work. Shit like that. Um,
Based.
When I never did understand that base word. What the fuck does that mean?
That means spot fucking on, dude.
Oh, okay.
Josh, would you like to take this question, sir?
So let me finish real quick. So I'm a veteran, right? And technically I'm a disabled veteran, so I'm eligible for my state's medical cannabis program, right? But however, the DOT or FMCSA or whoever fucking regulates this shit, they say that you can be tested for cannabis by oral saliva, which is more of a impairment test and less of a, have you done it within the last 30, 60, 90, whatever days, right? So I can't smoke because I have the capability of, well, maybe capability is not the right word, but they have the opportunity to test me with saliva, with blood, with urine, and with hair follicle. They can choose whatever fuck they want. And my company that I drive for, they third party that shit out to a company that, randomizes the tests and all that other shit, So I don't know what I could get. I could be hit 5 minutes from now. I could be hit 6 months from now with any sort of test, right? So I don't do it.
Only once a
But,
quarter unless there's an accident.
well, I didn't know that.
Well, let me rephrase that. If you get a random drug test, go ahead.
Here's the problem with the accident part. I'm driving right now, right? Some random dickhead could come up behind me and smack into the back of me, not even cause any damage, and now they have cause to give me a hair follicle. It's not my fault. I'm just driving along, doing the speed limit, minding my own business. Some idiot runs into me. Now I got to get tested. So for those reasons, I don't smoke. I don't do any of it, right? So, but here's another thing. If you sign up, and I'm in Louisiana, by the way, if you sign up for Louisiana's medical marijuana program, you go into a database, into a system. That system, and I got this from talking to some people in that industry, that system communicates with the same system that you get your medical card with in my state. I don't know if that's true for every state, but I know for my state, it's definitely true. So I can't even sign up for the program and even get the weed for my girlfriend or anything without it being flagged on my shit. Yep. No shit. Yeah.
So this ain't this. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
So no, you good. So basically my question is you got all these new people coming into Trump's cabinet. You got Trump that said that he's, gonna vote for the Florida legalization, whatever. He's for change, whatever. They got all these people that are coming in. I didn't know that we're getting a new FMCSA director. I don't know if we're going to get a new DOT director, but those people that are coming in, what do y'all think's going to change? And then they're talking about rescheduling cannabis to Schedule 3 or whatever it may be. Do y'all think that eventually it's going to get to the point to where companies are only allowed to test for impairment and not for past use? What do y'all think?
That's a good question, and I agree with you. They should only be able to test for impairment. I don't think I've been ridiculed for this. I've been laughed at. I don't think any drug should be illegal by the federal government, and in doing so, it creates problems. That it's we the people. We the people should be the ones making laws to talking to our congressmen to pass laws. I don't think any person in government should be able to make a law based on their thoughts. They should be representing the people. States' rights should dictate drugs and by the people. Now, I don't think that federal government even has the authority, shouldn't even have the authority the way it was set up to outlaw drugs. That's not what the federal government was designed to do. Marijuana, cocaine. I mean, I can go get fucked up with a bottle of liquor, but I can't snort a line of coke. I mean, I don't do any drugs, but I'm just saying I can do one, but not the other. You know, come on. I get tested for impairment on any other drug except marijuana. If you want to smoke weed, smoke weed. If you want to fucking snort coke, snort coke. I don't give a shit. If you want to fucking snort rocks or meth, if you want to smoke banana peels, I don't give a fuck. Just don't. If it impairs you, use common sense and don't put other people's lives in jeopardy. If you do, there's a penalty, just like drinking and driving.
Same thing with caffeine. I can go drink 4 monsters in a row, get on the road, and cause an accident because I'm over caffeinated. But they don't regulate that.
Dude, you could cause a wreck by sneezing. And everybody talks about one other thing I was going to say. Everybody talks about trucks and interstate commerce, but you know, and why we're regulated. But it just takes one car to stop in front of us to cause a 50-car pileup. So, and it couldn't even be the trucker's fault, but cars are one category or another. And going back to the inspections, it works great for cars that get inspected every year. Maybe trucks should be every quarter, like we do in private sector. My truck's inspected every 3 months. I think there's an easier system. If I go through one scale, since they're all linked together, if they can link my driver's license, they can link my truck. If I go through one scale and I get inspected or don't get inspected, I went through that scale, I passed, my weight's good, leave me the fuck alone until I get, unloaded or whatever. I don't need to go through 50 scales. It's a waste of time. Every time is money. And I'll land there because I'm kind of.
I don't have anyone blocked. I never block anyone. I'm not that type of person.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Chris, you was talking about not knowing about the FMCSA director and being replaced. One of the guys that we're trying to get replaced is Lee Schmitt, and he's in here, and he's the guy that we're trying to make noise
Not
and
get him replaced.
or no, we're trying to get him appointed to the FMCSA director. Trucking with the Schmitts there.
Sean
There you
Duffy's
go.
already been appointed as the Secretary of Transportation.
There you go, Taylor. Trying to get Lee replaced.
That's what I meant.
Before you even had it.
No, you know what I meant.
Yeah,
You know what I meant.
I know. I'm teasing you. You know that.
Lee, have you guys spoken to the one that's been the Department of Transportation guy, the new one? Have you spoken
Sean
to him?
Duffy's the guy.
Do you know him?
We know him. He was our congressman in Wisconsin when we were actually fighting the ELD. And I know that at that time he signed on to an exemption request to exempt small business from the ELD that OIDA submitted. He and Brian Babin and 23 other congressmen submitted a letter to the FMCSA that they should accept that exemption. So that was a long time ago. Maybe his views have changed, maybe not. We're trying to find him here in Wisconsin. I'm sure he's well hidden at this point. But we're doing everything we can to get to him. All of our contacts that we had for him were from when he was in Congress, and they're no longer valid. But it'd be really great to have the Secretary of Transportation and the administrator of the FMCSA both be from the great state of Wisconsin.
Hey, you know, I'm curious. I see McKelvey's in here, and McKelvey's a very, for those of you guys don't know him, Chris, McKelvey, a DC native, is very intelligent on, he's a trucking advocate. I'd like to hear Bill talk for a minute, if it's okay, see his thoughts on this.
What's up, Josh? First question, I tried to message you the other day, but you got me blocked, bro. So I was going to buy y'all dinner, but you had me blocked, so I didn't know how to reach you. So anyways, but what are you guys talking on? Because I just tuned in, because I'm hearing about a driver thinking that he's going to be put at the head of the FMCSA, and I'm hearing something about laws and regulations. So what are you guys discussing?
Hey, Bill, maybe just for the people that don't know you, just kind of tell them who you are and what you do and what you fight for, and it'll kind of bleed right into what we're talking about. Like what do you when you go to DC? What are some of your top topics that you fight for truckers for?
Well, there's been a variety of things over the years, Taylor. One was the half-hour break. The very first thing that got me to the White House was during, I do believe it was Farrow's time, Ann Farrow, when she was in head of office. Sorry, I'm looking for a doc here. Hang on one second. Okay. Not on this side of the building. So I've been to the White House a couple of times over the years. I think the last one, myself and about 10 or 15 others went from Truckers Movement for Justice. That was formed many, many years ago with the ports in mind. I've been working with those guys off and on. I've been working with OIDA off and on. I've been working with SBTC and NASTIC. I work a little bit with CDLDU behind the scenes that I really don't talk about. Others than with the actual head of CDLDU. And I speak with congressional representatives on transportation issues and trying to get things correct labor-wise and pay-wise for truckers, including contracts, fraud, and other topics that are very important to people, including the hours of service. So I've done a lot of stuff off and on since early 2000. I started in the state of New Jersey, where they thought they could keep us off the roads, like Georgia tried to
Woosah. Woosah. I confess it was Shane. I was just wanting Bill to calm down before he had a heart attack or something. That's all. No disrespect. I I know that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disrespect you. I apologize.